Recognizing how significant human capital issues can affect the business without acceptance of its importance in your organization framework, all plans regarding your workforce will fall flat, or at least be deprioritized. Human capital matters must not be viewed as tied to cost center, but as investments with some return expected. This also applies to Sharia economics and finance. In the midst of its fast development, human capital is an important factor in supporting the development of Sharia economics and finance. So it will be equal or even be superior to conventional economics and finance. Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin and Dr. Lena Rethel are two figures that have the capability to be involved in preparing superior human resources to welcome Indonesia in becoming the center or the Qibla of Sharia economics and finance. Let us now dig deeper into this theme with our amazing guests. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are back on our program Sharia Economic Talk with Gunawan Yasni. We are now joined via teleconference with Dr. Lena Rethel and Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin, who will share with us how to prepare human capital to become center of Sharia economics and finance. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dr. Lena Rethel, Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin, how are you?
Hello, Mr. Gunawan. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Wow. Dr. Lena Rethel. I will go to Dr. Lena Rethel first. How are you, Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin? Are you okay? Still negative COVID-19?
I keep staying negative with COVID-19, inshallah.
Yeah. In this case, we have to stay negative with COVID-19, okay?
Yes.
All right. I will go first to Dr. Lena Rethel. Dr. Lena Rethel, please tell us how many years have you been active in academic and research of your specialty?
Yes, thank you very much. I have been researching Islamic finance and the Islamic economy for about 15 years now, so that really makes me feel quite old. And the context is that in 2007, I kind of accidentally went to the Global Islamic Finance Forum that was held in Malaysia. And for me, as a political economist, it kind of really posed a number of interesting questions. It was the first event that I attended where there were discussions about the global governance of Islamic finance. And of course, at that time, we still had the crisis of the late 1990s fresh on our mind. And we were also about to kind of enter the global financial crisis. So hearing about a financial approach that is quite different, that prioritizes ethics and sustainability, was something that really kind of got me hooked into this whole field of Islamic finance, and then of course increasingly also the Islamic economy.
But then, what made you stay in this area? I mean, the Sharia economics and finance, including the thing with the political economy.
Yeah, so I think for anyone who works on international political economy or finance, international financial regulation, of course, we had the crisis of 2008, 2009, and a lot of the issues that became very visible through that crisis still have not been resolved. So I would argue that we still don't have an international financial system that is doing very well, that is kind of like harnessing finance for socio-economic development. And we have then recurrent crises in other parts of the world. And now we also have a real economic crisis through the pandemic. And again, the question remains, how can we use finance for socio-economic development?
All right. And then I will go to Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin. What do you think? What are the challenges in preparing human capital in the area of Sharia economics and finance in Indonesia, Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin?
Yes, thank you. What I think about the challenges we are facing at the moment is actually the human capitals, the Islamic economics and finance, are lacking of the strong Sharia foundations, and they merely on the area of economics and finance, which I think the best approach is to instill them the strong Sharia foundations where they have the commitment on the objective of Islamic economics and finance, not on the profit maximization per se, but also to create the welfare of the society.
The welfare of the society. Do you think that we have accomplished that partly in Indonesia?
Well, it is progressing because all the Islamic economics and finance institutions or industry are also taking zakat, infaq, sadaqah as a part of their objectives, not only commercial objectives, but also social objectives. Of course, we have homework to make sure that the institutions and the human capitals also think about it, not only thinking about how they can earn good salary, good pay, good bonus, but also how they actually contribute to the society.
All right. Nice discussions, but we have to take a break now. Dr. Lena and Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin, we should take a break. Stay with us on Sharia Economic Talk with Gunawan Yasni.
And we can see that UK at the moment is one of the, as you said, the center of Islamic economic and finance. They did it. It is a very free country to accept Islamic economic and finance to grow, and to me is marvelous. And I hope other countries also would follow the step of the UK has been taking.
You are still on Sharia Economic Talk with Gunawan Yasni. We continue our discussions with Dr. Lena Rethel and Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin. I would go first to Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin in this second segment. Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin, how does your university link and match the university graduates with the industry requirements, of course, in Indonesia?
Yes. What we do, we invite CEOs, managers, or the people who are in industry to come to the university and teach our students, and being a part of our academic team, in order to share their practical experience and also to expose the students to the real opportunities and challenges. So every semester, we also take our students for a field trip to capital market, for instance, or Islamic banks, just to have the discussions or interactions with the practitioners.
All right, good then. Okay. Dr. Lena Rethel, what are the qualities expected on the university graduates in the field of Sharia economics and finance at your particular university, perhaps?
So I think what is important is, of course, a very good understanding of Sharia matters, but I would summarize what is important in one word, and that is a kind of holistic approach or holistic understanding. And so it is important to have a kind of very good training in Sharia matters, but I think it's also very important to know the historical, the political, and also the legal context of contemporary economic practices. So I think there has been a tendency in academia to move towards more and more different specialist fields. But I think for Islamic finance, because it touches upon so many different things, it's not just about economics, it's not just about religion, it's not just about ethics, it's not just about the law, and so on. I think a very more holistic approach is very important, that kind of students have a very good interdisciplinary training in what they are doing.
So, Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin, what do you think about what Dr. Lena just said about the qualities of the university graduates? What about your university graduates' cope up with the needs of the industry in Indonesia, Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin?
Yes, thank you. This is something that we've been actually discussing at the university, where we need to have the special qualities of our graduates, and of course, first they have to be very strong with the Sharia law, and also the economics and finance issues, as well as the political economics issues, Islamic political economic issues, plus the practical challenges ahead. Not only the current challenges, but also the future challenges. They have to be able to foresee. So once they graduate, they can actually have the problem solving qualifications. So this is something that we actually make sure the graduates will have this kind of qualities.
All right. So I believe that you, Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin, as well as Dr. Lena Rethel, are university graduates from the United Kingdom, right? So what do you think, what makes United Kingdom one of the center for the Sharia economics and finance in the world? Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin.
Where I lived there for about 6 years, and I studied Islamic accounting with my supervisor, and then of course I tried to digest as many as possible the progress of Islamic economics and finance in the UK, and I found that the government is really supportive to the development of Islamic economic and finance because they would like to become the financial hub in the Europe, and this is actually taking the advantage of the Islamic economic and finance that is not only in favor of the Muslims communities, but also the businessmen or the professionals who would like to go into the Islamic economics and finance industry in the UK. So what I could say that this is the opportunities that there's nothing to do with the religion. It's something actually a new alternative to the finance, and it's unique, and people talk about it, and UK government itself actually is taking advantage of issuing sukuk in 2014, 200 million pounds sterling, if I'm not mistaken, and during the time of the David Cameron. So and we can see that UK at the moment is one of the, as you said, the center of Islamic economic and finance. They did it, and when I lived there, I could see actually the environment that is supportive to the Islamic economic and finance, where I was actually the customer of Islamic banks over there, and I could have the interactions, how the banking officers served me and then explained to me about Islamic banking, and also I visited some other Islamic banks over there, and people who are expert in Islamic banking and finance, in Sharia law. So it is a very free country to accept Islamic economic and finance to grow, and to me is marvelous, and I hope other countries also would follow the step of the UK has been taking.
Wow, I would love to hear more about that from Dr. Lena Rethel, but we have to take a break again. So sisters, stay with Sharia Economic Talk, of course, with me, Gunawan Yasni.
Of a lot of the Islamic finance innovations. So I think that has been really, really important as well. And if we look at the kind of size of Sharia compliant financial assets in the UK, then that has grown really, really fast over the last.
Peter F. Drucker, in his book Post-Capitalist Society, revealed that the world will have a dramatic transformation in all aspects of life. In the economic field, the factors of production that will have important roles are capital, human resources, and land. Currently, human resources with knowledge or human capital will become a vital role. Human capital is the key production factor to reach a continuing economic growth. You're still on Sharia Economic Talk with Gunawan Yasni. We are discussing preparing human capital to become center of Sharia economics and finance. Still joining us now with Dr. Lena Rethel and Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin. I would like to go to Dr. Lena Rethel first. Dr. Lena Rethel, before this segment, Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin just said that UK government is so supportive, and UK government is not really a Muslims government, but they are so supportive to the Sharia economics and finance. How about your comment on that? I mean, why people in UK, the non-Muslims, are really interested in developing the Sharia economics and finance?
Thank you. I would definitely agree with Dr. Murniati that the UK government has been very supportive, especially if we compare to what other non-Muslim majority country governments have done. I think part of that is just that the UK is really keen to position itself as international financial center, and Islamic finance has been part of the UK financial center for 50 years now. So since the late 1970s, there has been Islamic finance taking place in the UK. What was a really bad experience, and people were kind of very upset, of course, about all the kind of havoc that was caused by the fallout from that. So people are interested in thinking of ways of doing finance differently, doing it more sustainably. So I think that would be the broader interest of society in the development of Islamic finance. And then I think thirdly, also there's quite a large Muslim minority population in the UK who also have been a really kind of strong driver of Islamic finance growth and also of a lot of the Islamic finance innovations. So I think that has been really, really important as well. And if you look at the kind of size of Sharia compliant financial assets in the UK, then that has grown really, really fast over the last few years. So I think there's kind of much greater awareness also among society and much greater demand also for Islamic finance.
All right. So, Dr. Lena, how do you see the shift of conventional economy in Southeast Asia, perhaps especially in Indonesia, to what I would like to call it Sharia economy? The shift from conventional economy to the Sharia economy in Southeast Asia, especially in Indonesia. How do you see that, Dr. Lena?
Yes. So I think it is really exciting what is happening in Indonesia at the moment. So I think Indonesia was initially caught out a little bit because, I mean, obviously as being the biggest Muslim country in the world, perhaps there was less attention to actually how to think about that then in terms of the domestic and the international economy. And I think Indonesia has kind of really made rapid progress in kind of positioning itself in the global Islamic economy. And something I wanted to say is, I mean, there's also a really unique opportunity coming up for Indonesia, and this is going to be the presidency of the G20. So if you look at the international financial regulation and the kind of prominence of Islamic in international financial networks, then when Turkey had the G20 presidency, Islamic finance, the awareness, the global awareness of Islamic finance really became much greater. And so I would say there's a unique opportunity for Indonesia during the G20 presidency to not just promote, and I think also the kind of like expertise and skills are there to really kind of develop some thought leadership on the Islamic economy that can then filter down in the kind of G20 meetings and so on.
Wow. A very positive way you look at Indonesia with the G20 opportunity then. Okay, so Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin, I believe that we still have the missing link between the graduate qualities with the industry expectations in the Sharia economics and finance, of course. How do you see that in Indonesia?
Yes, I think this is also two way of strategy. It means the lecturers of the university lecturers have to expose themselves with the current situation and be able to project the future challenges. So the students are taught not with the cases that old cases where the students only learn about the previous or past years challenges faced by the industry, but because once they graduate after 4 years, after 3 years, after 2 years of the study, so they will, when they go into industry, they cannot see the real challenges that they studied before. So it is very urgent where both students and the lecturers find the real cases of the industry, and also how actually they could formulate the solutions for industry to grow. I think, and this is what we try to do, and both the academic institutions and also the industry, they have to actually work together to make sure that the graduates are actually approaching what they expect.
All right. These discussions with both of you are getting more and more interesting, but we have to take a break. So please stay with us on Sharia Economic Talk, of course, with me, Gunawan Yasni.
President declared last year to bring Indonesia to become the center of Islamic economics and finance of the world by 2024.
You are still on Sharia Economic Talk with Gunawan Yasni. Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin, you know that we have so many non-Sharia employees in Sharia industry, perhaps in Indonesia. How can we manage to give some, let's say, some kind of short training, but it is going to be impactful for them? What do you think about that?
Yes, it's a very challenging question where we actually try to use different approach, because the first thing when we go into the industry, we have to actually make sure this industry is unique and upholds the Islamic values. Which means the Islamic values that are actually embedded in the industry is to not only to go for commercial objectives but also social objectives, and for that they have to understand with these characteristics. And first and foremost, the non-Muslim employees have to understand the understanding of the Sharia itself, because Sharia means Sharia is actually the guidance how to go about it. So they have to understand and make sure that it's actually is for the welfare. It's not something that even they are not Muslims, but it is not really against them. It's not against them because it's not against their belief, because it is actually, when we go into deep, it is actually for justice, for welfare, and then also for educating people. So it is for the good things. It's not only thinking about profit, but also thinking about how we combat poverty. We actually give opportunities for everyone. So this is something that we accept. So the first thing, to make sure that they understand Sharia. Then only talk about the features, the product and services, etc.
All right. Both of you, Dr. Lena, Rethel, and Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin, are UK graduates, and you both said that the UK government, of course the non-Muslims government, are so supportive, especially in UK, of course, and some other countries in Europe, of course. Dr. Murniati, how do you see the government in embracing concept and the implementation of Sharia economics and finance in Indonesia? And I would like to ask the same thing later on to Dr. Lena. You go first, Dr. Murniati.
Yes, we can see that the government Indonesia or government actually has been supportive with the current situations, and in fact the president declared last year to bring Indonesia to become the center of Islamic economics and finance of the world by 2024. So it is not something difficult to achieve because everyone works together, and as we can see, it's not only Islamic finance that we are focusing on, but also the sectors of the Islamic economics as a whole, or known as halal industry. Regarding the policies, the current policy, for instance, on taxation, so the government has been taking taxation as a part of the deductions for income, and then it is already a good step. It means the rule and the regulations of the policies, the government policies, has been taking into the interest of Islamic finance into and to make sure that it is actually growing together.
All right. So, Dr. Lena Rethel, how do you see the movement of Sharia economics and finance of the United Kingdom as well as Indonesia in the view of political economics? I know that this is your field, political economics. How do you see that, the movement in UK and Indonesia?
Yes, so I mean, in the UK, of course, a lot of the initiative for the development of the Islamic economy comes from the private sector, but also from civil society. So in particular, if you look at halal certification and so on, whereas I think in Indonesia, it's kind of a much more public, if you so want, support for the development or government support for the Islamic economy. However, I think that also comes over with kind of like unique opportunities, but also with unique challenges. So my impression, and I'm an outsider, so I don't want to presume, but I think one of the challenges in Indonesia is to kind of really ensure that there is coordination between different agencies and that the different actors basically are moving in the same direction. And as I said, I have very high hopes for the G20 presidency, because I think that really will give some new impulses for kind of promoting the Indonesian Islamic economy globally. In the UK, on the other hand, as I said, I mean, a lot of it comes from the kind of private sector and also from the civil society, and the government has been generally supportive, but the government also has taken perhaps a bit of a hands-off approach, which kind of links to wider or different approaches in how the UK government sees its role compared to how the Indonesian government sees its role. So, I mean, there is no such thing like a Sharia economy master plan or something like that in the UK. So there is no guiding framework, if you so want, kind of that brings in developing the Islamic economy. It's more like different sectors are doing different things. And I mean, finance has been quite developed also in terms of supporting regulatory frameworks. I think other aspects of the Islamic economy still need more support and also perhaps a bit more of a push in the UK.
All right. Nice benchmarking then between UK and Indonesia. Well, then we have to take a break again, another break, but still stay with us on Sharia Economic Talk with Gunawan Yasni.
But I think also to become an international center of the Sharia economy, it is really important for Indonesia, because I think in the end, to be an international center, obviously it's very important to have the market size. The market size is definitely there in Indonesia.
You're still on Sharia Economic Talk with Gunawan Yasni. I would like to ask in this last segment to Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin as well as Dr. Lena Rethel, pretty much the same question, but of course different perspective. Both of you are UK graduates, but Dr. Murniati is Indonesian and Dr. Lena is a UK-based associate professor. So, to Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin first. What kind of specific human capital qualities to achieve that prestigious place for Indonesia to become the Qibla or the center for the Sharia, economics and finance, including the halal industry? Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin.
Yes, this is a very interesting question. As we are aware that the university holds three main objectives, which is to offer educations, to conduct research, and also to carry on the community service. So since we are now given a big challenge to make sure that Indonesia would become the center of Islamic economics and finance by 2024, so this is not only Islamic finance but also Islamic economics, and we understand that it also covers the several sectors that are known as a halal industry, and these are actually today by 2019. In 2019, I mean, Indonesia is ranked for halal food number 4, and Islamic finance number 6, and Muslim-friendly travel number 6, also modest fashion number 3, pharmaceutical and cosmetic number 6, and media and recreations number 5. It is ranked by the Global Islamic Economy Indicator recently that they released the report, and. Of course, this is good news because it is actually much better than the previous year. But then, of course, the government is hunting to be number 1, for instance, for halal food. It is actually kind of quote-unquote ridiculous if Indonesia cannot become the number 1 player in halal food industry, because the majority population of Indonesia is Muslims, and of course they demand halal food. So that is why the government, hand in hand with the academic institutions, working towards this. For instance, by issuing fast track of halal certifications. Lastly, this altogether, all this ecosystem has to be created. What I mean by ecosystem is not only the academic institutions, but also the players and also the governments, not only the government in the center of Jakarta or the capital city, but also in the regions. So today, I myself actually involved heavily on these preparations, and I could see the growing interest from regions of Indonesia towards this halal industry development. So I'm sure by 2024, we actually keep working together and making sure the policies, law, and regulations are actually in the side of these industries, I'm sure we can actually achieve it.
All right. Very nice things on your perspectives, Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin. Now, Dr. Lena Rethel, any advices on Indonesia how to become the next Qibla or the center of Sharia economics and finance, including the halal industry, on your own perspectives?
Yes, I mean, I would agree with what Dr. Murniati has said. So I think it's kind of very important for the kind of domestic perspective, but I think also to become an international center of the Sharia economy, it is really important for Indonesia to build global governance capacity for the Islamic economy. And I think this is where I make the kind of pitch for my home discipline of international political economy. I think it is really important to think about what are the emerging global governance frameworks for the Islamic economy, and what role can Indonesia play in kind of creating those frameworks and sustaining those frameworks. Because I think in the end, to be an international center, obviously it's very important to have the market size. The market size is definitely there in Indonesia, but I think what is also required is kind of like basically setting the rules of the game. So not just being a player, but actually being the rule maker in the global Islamic economy. And I think this is something where Indonesia can be very proactive, especially during the G20 presidency, as I previously mentioned already. Thank you.
All right. then I must conclude the discussions. There is a saying of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best humans are those who are most useful for other humans. The best of humans in center of Sharia economics and finance are those who have the best knowledge and the best practice of Sharia economics and finance, including the halal industry for all mankind, not just the Muslims. So that was my conclusion, that was my discussion on this episode. I hope today's topic was enlightening and informative, of course, to spur our Indonesia spirit, of course, our Indonesia spirit to become the center for the Sharia economics and finance, the Qibla of the world's Sharia in the future. Of course, not just in economics, but also in many other fields. We will meet again in more episodes of Sharia Economic Talk with Gunawan Yasni, with prominent guests from Indonesia and other countries. I, Gunawan Yasni, and the entire crew bid you farewell. Goodbye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Metro TV